Alright, Outcast. So, ever since I watched the movies back then when I was younger, the Addams Families was always something that's fascinated me. But after watching the show, there was one thing that's been in the back of my mind, and that question that I have for you is, how on God's green earth is Professor Olaf even alive? Yes, the floating biology teacher head in a jar. Still alive, nothing but a head. So for this video, we're gonna be on a hunt to solve how Professor Olaf is alive and explained. In the world of Wednesday, Orloff isn't just a gag. He is fully conscious. He remembers Nevermore history, even talking about Augustus Stonehorse and how he built the ivory for his daughter. So clearly, this guy's brain is still firing on all cylinders. So here's a few theories that I have for you that led to this man somehow being alive. But for this video, to come alive, I'm going to need you guys to open your minds, open those creative nodes in your brains, because this is going to be a full theory video. So smash that like button, leave a comment down below with your thoughts, and show your true Outcast spirit by subscribing for more. So how could we keep Professor Olaf alive? To me, the best answer was preservation magic. Now in fantasy and gothic lore, preservation magic is basically a supernatural way of stopping natural decay. Think of it like embalming, but with spells instead of chemicals. The idea is that through charms, runes, even alchemy, potions, the physical body, or in this case the head, can be kept in a suspended state. But instead of rotting away, the tissue is magically stabilized, fluids don't break down, and the nervous system can still spark the electrical signals that it needs to work. So essentially, the jar could be acting like a magical life support. This isn't even a stretch in Wednesday's universe. Now, we already know that Nevermore Academy is home to both science-based outcasts and supernatural ones. If characters like Morticia Addams can perform seances and summon spirits, then keeping a severed head alive suddenly feels weirdly possible. So maybe, and just maybe, Orloff's head is being sustained by some enchanted jar, keeping his body technically dead but his head alive, even though he doesn't have a body. It's just a head in a jar and a little robot, mechanical things that keep it, rolling. So let's move on to a more scientific outlook. So let's say there's an outcast science experiment. And since Nevermore is a mix of magic and biology, maybe Orloff is the result of some experiment that kept his head functioning without a body. But of course, this is a classic Addams Family weirdness, because if magic doesn't explain it, then maybe science does. And since Olaf taught biology, what if he or someone else at Nevermore actually ran an experiment to see if a human mind could survive without the body? Sounds like a mad scientist type of deal, but I feel like Orloff fits that description. But in a school like Nevermore, it's not that far-fetched. For the fun of the video, let's say we need to create this magical science miracle life support system for Olaf, but what would it be? So to start with, we're going to need a nutritional solution. The jar's liquid could contain a bioengineering serum that keeps his cells alive, kind of like an artificial blood, but followed by oxygen infusion. This fluid might be oxygenated so the brain doesn't suffocate. It's like scuba gear for neurons, because we're going to need some type of neural simulation, which the Outcast tech would need to simulate to help his neurosystem with low-level electrical pulses, keeping his brainwaves active and preventing mental decay. But what about waste recycling? Since the brain produces waste chemicals, the jar could have a filtration, enchantment, or biotech system to keep it out. So otherwise, Olaf's would have gone toxic ages ago, like a goldfish who produces too much ammonia. So let's be real, this Addams Family universe doesn't always follow biology. Just look at Thing, it's a hand that's just walking around. Like, does it have a brain in there? Where do you put his brain? Is it at the palm? Is it parts of the brain on the tips of his fingers? Where are his organs? How does he eat? How does he get the nutrients his hands need to survive? Who knows? But sometimes a dark comedy is the explanation in itself, so it's better not to question it and go with the flow, even if I or you can't stop thinking about it. Like, seriously, how are you alive? But if you ask me, the jar probably isn't just for show. Notice how Orloff is still teaching. That hints that he's not just a decoration. Nevermore Academy must be keeping him alive intentionally. Maybe his knowledge is too valuable to lose. The memories, the understanding of Nevermore, the beginning of it, the possible ending of it, he's gonna be there for it all. Or maybe he volunteered himself for this bizarre fate in the name of science. Again, he is a biology teacher, so maybe it wouldn't be that far that he just thought of an idea and needed the right outcast to perform the procedure, and bam, we have him here. But either way, it makes him one of the coolest, creepiest faculty members we've seen so far in Nevermore. But why do this? Why subject yourself to just living in a jar? One other reason that I can think was maybe he was terminally ill, and this experiment was the only way to keep his mind alive and save his mind. Or maybe he was obsessed with cheating death and actually volunteered for it. It makes him both brilliant and tragic, literally living proof of how far Nevermore science will go. Or in the Outcast science experiment theory, Orloff isn't just a quirky floating head, he is a biological experiment in immortality. Creepy, groundbreaking, and perfectly in line with the Addams Family brand of dark humor. So, what do you think? Is Professor Olaf being kept alive by magic, science, or something way darker that we don't know about yet? So why not drop your theories in the comments, and if you want more weird breakdowns from Wednesday, make sure to subscribe, because trust me, this show is hiding way more secrets than just a head in a jar. Later, Outcast.